Top 10 Darkest Moments in American History. America is often called the land of opportunity, the home of freedom, the place where dreams come true. But even in the most powerful nation in the world, darkness has touched every generation. From wars and disasters to tragedies that shocked the nation, history is full of moments that remind us how fragile life can be and how resilience can emerge from the ashes. Today, we're counting down the top 10 darkest moments in American history. Events that changed the nation forever and left scars that are still felt today. 10. Hurricane Katrina, 2005. In August 2005, Hurricane Katrina struck the Gulf Coast, devastating New Orleans and surrounding areas. The storm killed over 1,800 people, displaced hundreds of thousands, and caused more than $100 billion in damage. Levees failed, neighborhoods flooded, and people waited days for help. Images of stranded families on rooftops, buses abandoned in the water, and streets turned into rivers shocked the world. Katrina exposed deep social and racial inequalities in America. Those who were already marginalized suffered the most. It was a modern tragedy, but also a stark reminder that natural disasters can become human disasters when society fails to respond. 9. The Dust Bowl, 1930s. During the 1930s, America faced an environmental and economic disaster unlike anything before. The Great Plains, once fertile farmland, turned to dust. Severe drought, combined with poor farming practices, created massive dust storms that blackened the sky for days. Thousands of families, known as Okies and Arkies, were forced to leave their homes and migrate west to California, hoping for work and survival. Entire communities were uprooted. The Dust Bowl was a tragedy on multiple levels: ecological, economic, and human. It coincided with the Great Depression, amplifying the suffering of millions. But it also showed the resilience of people who refused to give up, moving westward in search of a new life. 8. The Challenger Explosion, 1986. On January 28, 1986, the Space Shuttle Challenger lifted off from Florida with 7 astronauts aboard, including Krista McAuliffe, a teacher chosen to be the first civilian in space. 73 seconds into flight, disaster struck. The shuttle exploded in midair, broadcast live on national television. The world watched in horror as dreams of space exploration turned to tragedy. The Challenger disaster was a national heartbreak, but it also sparked change. NASA improved safety protocols, and the nation mourned while honoring the courage of the astronauts. Their legacy continues to inspire generations of explorers. 7. The Vietnam War, SP My Lai Massacre, 1968. The Vietnam War was one of America's most controversial conflicts, marked by uncertainty, political turmoil, and unimaginable human suffering. One of the darkest moments came in 1968 at the My Lai Massacre, where U.S. soldiers killed hundreds of unarmed Vietnamese civilians, including women, children, and the elderly. News of the massacre shocked the world and fueled anti-war protests back home. Millions of Americans questioned the morality of the war, while soldiers endured fear, confusion, and extreme hardship on the battlefield. The Vietnam War left more than 58,000 American soldiers dead and over 2 million Vietnamese civilians killed. It became a cautionary tale about the costs of conflict and the limits of military power. 6. The Civil War, 1861 to 1865. The American Civil War remains the deadliest conflict on U.S. soil. Over 600,000 soldiers died, and countless families were torn apart. The war began over secession and slavery, dividing the nation into brother versus brother. Battles like Gettysburg and Antietam were scenes of unimaginable carnage, with fields littered with bodies and towns devastated. Yet even in the darkness, the war brought pivotal change. Slavery was abolished, the Union was preserved, and a new birth of freedom became possible. The Civil War reminds us that even in tragedy, the seeds of justice and liberty can take root. 5. The Trail of Tears, 1830s. Long before modern tragedies, America forced Native American nations off their ancestral lands. In the 1830s, the Indian Removal Act led to the relocation of the Cherokee, Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, and Seminole peoples from the southeast to territories west of the Mississippi. Thousands died of starvation, disease, and exhaustion on what became known as the Trail of Tears. Families were broken, cultures disrupted, and generations traumatized. This dark chapter reminds us that America's expansion often came at a horrific human cost. 4. The Assassination of JFK, 1963. November 22, 1963. President John F. Kennedy rode through Dallas in an open-top motorcade. Suddenly, gunshots rang out. Kennedy was fatally wounded, and the nation went into shock. Live television broadcasts captured the grief and disbelief of millions. JFK's death was more than the loss of a leader. It symbolized the fragility of hope during a turbulent era. The civil rights movement, the Cold War, and the space race all framed his presidency, and his assassination left a generation questioning the stability of the nation. 3. The Great Depression, 1929 to 1939. In October 1929, the stock market crashed, sending the U.S. economy into freefall. Banks failed, businesses closed, and millions lost their jobs, homes, and savings. Families struggled to survive. Breadlines and shanty towns, Hoovervilles, became the face of despair. Children went hungry, and adults lost hope. Yet, the Great Depression also gave rise to remarkable resilience. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal programs provided relief, employment, and a sense of direction. The era showed how adversity can reshape society and bring people together in the face of immense suffering. 2. 9/11 terrorist attacks, 2001. September 11, 2001, a date etched into the memory of every American. 4 planes were hijacked by terrorists. 2 struck the Twin Towers in New York City, 1 hit the Pentagon, and the 4th crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers tried to retake control. Nearly 3,000 lives were lost that day. Smoke and debris filled the skyline. The nation watched in horror, stunned and grieving. 9/11 changed the world. It reshaped national security, foreign policy, and the American psyche. The heroism of first responders, the unity of communities, and the resilience of New Yorkers became symbols of hope amidst unimaginable loss. 1. Pearl Harbor Attack, 1941. December 7, 1941. Hawaii. The Japanese launched a surprise attack on Pearl Harbor, destroying battleships, planes, and lives. Over 2,400 Americans were killed, and hundreds were wounded. President Franklin D. Roosevelt called it a date which will live in infamy. Overnight, isolationist sentiment vanished. The United States declared war on Japan, entering World War II and forever changing its role on the global stage. Pearl Harbor reminds us how a single moment of violence can awaken a nation, and how tragedy can forge courage, unity, and determination. From natural disasters to wars, from assassinations to economic collapse, America's darkest moments have shaped the nation as much as its triumphs. These events remind us of the fragility of life, the cost of injustice, and the resilience of the American people. For every tragedy, there was courage. For every loss, a lesson. And for every dark day, the nation found a way to rise again. History is not just about victories. It's about survival, growth, and remembering the past so we can build a better future. If you thought these moments were shocking, wait until you see our next video. The top 10 greatest American legends and mysteries, where history meets the unknown and unsolved stories continue to captivate the nation.